to say, we live here. She says it with much more enthusiasm than I. As a reminder, let's please silence our cell phones as we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Squamish Valley. My name is Fletcher Walsh, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. With curious intellect and a desire for inclusivity, we as Unitarian Universalists don't ascribe to a specific creed written by one to be followed by all. We often like to say that we don't have to think alike to love alike. As a congregation, we welcome you without prejudice, accepting diversities and differences in belief, helping us to grow both individually and collectively as an engaged community in search for the truth. At the end of the day, it's our deeds that best define our creed. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism, we invite you to take a look at our mission statement, printed on the front of the order of service, and also on the back you can find our 8 principles that we practice and promote within this setting and throughout the community at large. It's our tradition to welcome first and second time visitors, those of you who have not been here for a while, to stand. If you're comfortable in doing so, introduce yourself and tell us where you're from. Can we start on this side? Anybody? Yes, please.
Good morning. I'm Eleanor Peterson, and I am a friend of Diane and Dick Graham. And Diane and I taught school a long time ago in Wilmington. And I'm visiting from Phoenix, Arizona.
Welcome.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Amy, this is my husband Craig, and we just moved here from Cashers. This is our second time visiting.
Welcome.
We're excited about it.
Anybody on this side? Okay. Well, thank you for coming today. We know you have many choices, including staying at home. We're delighted you made the choice to share your time with us this morning. If you have an interest in receiving our newsletter, learning more about who we are, or perhaps getting involved in our community, please fill out the white card which is located in the back of the pew. They can be placed in the collection plate or again on the table in the floor out front. We also have those that are involved in our membership committee. They're identified with orange tags, nameplates, and if anybody's here, like Andy, please stand up. Thank you, Andy. Please feel free to speak with Andy after our coffee or directly afterward. We end this part of the service with respect that the land that we are on today was and remains the ancestral home of the Cherokee and of other indigenous people who, through stewardship, understanding, and conservation, survived and still thrive in this land. We acknowledge their enduring connection to their homeland. Let's begin our service.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning on this glorious, glorious day. Thank you, Diane. These words are by Unitarian Universalist Lois E. Van Leer. We light this chalice, not because we must, but because we can. We light this chalice, not because we have the truth, but because we each come bearing and seeking many truths. We light this chalice in connection across culture, distance, class, and language. We light this chalice that our philosophy may be a beacon of light, of hope, and of justice. We light this chalice to kindle our hearts and our minds. So with that being said, please rise as you are willing and able and join us in singing our opening hymn this morning, Morning So Fair to See. 42.
Thank you.
Our reading this morning is number 569. Stand by this faith, in the back of the gray hymnal. I'm still trying to figure out what this has to do with today's sermon. I swear to you, I did this a couple weeks ago, and I need to take my medication, but well, we're going to make it work, because you always help me make it work. But yeah, this is for another sermon that I haven't done. Anyway, we will stand by this faith, shall we? Stand by this faith, work for it, and sacrifice for it.
There's nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before us loftiest ideals,
which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful.
Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message.
That you are strong enough to work for a great true principle without counting the cost.
Go on finding every applications of these truths and new enjoyments in your contemplation, always trusting in one God, whichever lives and loves.
Olivia Brown, the first female minister ordained in the United States. She's a Universalist. Yes. Okay. Before we go into our ritual, well, we'll make it part of it. Would you please play Happy Birthday for Scott Conklin and for Diane Graham? And any other, is it Libra? You're Libras, right? Any other Libras? Raise your hand. Okay, happy birthdays, Libras. I hope you find that balance you're seeking. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Oh, y'all. Happy birthday to you. Yes, the Libras, the scales. Yes. Always trying to get that balance. Balance is good. Okay. Now, this is the time in the service when we invite you to come up and take a stone, joy or sorrow, and you put it in the other bowl that's full of water. Before we begin, Mary Soyanova asked me to remind you to keep Rosemary Ostertag in your thoughts and prayers. She's battling some challenges. She had surgery the other day. I went to visit her, but she was not in her room, and they didn't know when she was coming back, so I'll try this week. I think Anna de Hermanos sent a card to her, and I know that the Congregational Care Committee has been in touch with her, Carolyn Shorkey. So we are on the case, but please send her your thoughts and prayers. So the floor is yours. As you know, just come up and take your stone and place it in the water.
That is good. From all of us. Yes, thank you.
Is that it? Does anyone need me to bring them the bowl? Anybody? You okay?
I didn't understand.
And do you want me to bring you the bowl and the water so you can put?
The last person gave us all a stone.
Okay. You okay with that? Well, for those of you who, for whatever reason, decided not to come up, we keep you in our hearts and in our prayers and in our minds. And so, Larry?
Our meditation today, I have excerpted and edited a passage from a book called The P is Silent in Preach by Lisa Saunders. Doors are important. They're even spiritual in nature. For of all the things that Jesus could have chosen, he said, I am the door. Over the centuries, the church paid a lot of attention to doors, slamming them shut to the poor, to women, to the enslaved, to the mentally ill, to gay, lesbian, and transgender people, to anyone who questions tradition and authority, to anyone who is fortunate enough to find spiritual renewal, truth, and comfort in other religions or practices different from what the church offers. You would think that Jesus said, I am the wall, instead of I am the door. Love's door is not closed. Anyone can enter, because anyone can love. Anyone can be merciful and kind. Anyone can be generous. Anyone can serve. We only have to open the doors in our own hearts and minds we didn't even know we had. So now, we'll have a few moments of silence. Thank you.
This is the time in the service where I remind you that the greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it. And so in that spirit, we will now collect this morning's offering. Thank you for your generosity. I want to talk this morning about time. And what that means. For me personally, I always think about time this time of year because I think about the seasons, and I think about the seasons of my life. Especially at the time of the fall equinox. But I love the fall. I love this time of year. It's my favorite season. As many of you are keenly aware, we speak of the concept of time when we come to the joys and concerns part of our service. We speak of Chronos time, which refers to a moment or an exact time, for instance, a season, if you will, such as harvest time. It's chronological. And then we speak of Kairos time, sacred time, the opportune time. We speak of the joys and concerns moment as a sacred time. It does not have to be devoid of humor or an over-serious moment, but it's a time, it's a moment of reverence for memory. Time speaks in many voices and images. For some of our ancestors, for instance, sacred time was marked by the winter and the summer solstices. For the farmer thousands of years ago, and perhaps even now, the changing of the seasons was seen as a marker for time. If you were in a monastery, the ringing of the bells marked the monk's daily time for prayers or vespers. Today we use clocks, but they have little relationship to the sacred time, for most of time is no longer cyclical for most of us, but it just rushes us through the days of continuous moments and events. We struggle to even try to keep up with the seasons of the land, much less the seasons of our own lives, from the cradle to the grave, from infancy to old age, upon the stage of life. And Shakespeare obviously reminds us in his play As You Like It that all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. We have our exits and our entrances, and one person in their time plays many parts. But today, it seems that time is no longer a natural flow of life that connects us to the land, if you will, and each other, and even to the universe, much less the cycle of our own lives. Time today is something of our own creation. It drives us like a slave master, a treadmill seemingly without end. And the question is, do we need to remain caught in this unhealthy relationship with time? Is there a way to return to a sense of time that reconnects us to the natural world and to the cosmos, and perhaps more importantly, to each other? Perhaps we can revisit what it means to have sacred time, Kairos time. In the world of rush days and rush time, despite all of the busyness, there is a world of the collective and individual psyche. When we are quiet, when we're not chattering all the time, when we meditate or contemplate, when we take a moment to catch our breath and be still, we connect with this part of ourselves. There are people here who grieve this, and part of that is being resistant to change. It is. But part of it is that we think we will lose something because we're not doing this all of the time. I find that doing this all of the time gets in the way. When we are quiet, obviously not all of the time, but when we are quiet, Here the time moves slowly and more rhythmically, and you can feel a presence here. And I will submit to you that that is what religion is all about. That is why people continue to meditate and pray. They go back to the silence. He or she who I would fill, I must first empty. It is difficult to empty when you're talking all of the time. A lot of people are uncomfortable with silence and change. Not all. I ask you to revisit that in yourselves. We're trying to think of not just ourselves, but the people who come here. New people looking for a church home. We can do both. But here the time moves slowly and more rhythmically. When we increase the speed of life, which Gandhi says there's more to life than just increasing its speed, Father Time is no longer with us with his wisdom and deep understanding of the cycles of time, reminding us how silence and how all of this interconnects, how the cycle of seeds and seasons mirror each other, how a bud breaking open in the spring and leaves falling from the trees in autumn are in harmony together. Our telescopes may see the stars more clearly than we do, but like Father Time, they are further from our daily life. Yet the stars too have their wisdom. In medieval times, the time of Shakespeare and others, medieval philosophy and astronomy were taken very seriously. It wasn't woo-woo. For those people, the planets were called chronocraters, markers of time. It was presumed during this time, as it is in some circles today, that different periods of life were ruled by different planets. For instance, while Venus ruled the age of the lover from about the age of 15 to 22, the final stage of life from about 70 years old and older belonged to Saturn. Saturn was and is the great teacher. Those of you who are into astrology, you know this when you get your Saturn returns. Every 28 years, they can be a mess. Because they're reminding you, have you learned your lesson, Michael? You'll be dead in 30 years. Surely you have learned some lessons here. Our daily activities were thought to be connected to the heavens, all part of a vast unfolding unity that belongs to the natural order of things. But not anymore. We're too clever. We're too full of ourselves. Look at the world. Anne was talking about crying today, but also she's probably grieving this ritual, but she was grieving what's going on in Israel and Ukraine and everywhere else. And like I was taught in 12 Steps, my best thinking got me here. Our best thinking got us here. We're just so clever. Our daily activities were thought to be connected to the heavens, all part of a vast unfolding unity. But no more. The stars in the heavens are removed more and more from our daily life. Their alignment no longer needs to determine significant events. And so time itself has become stranded and isolated, no longer able to communicate or to share its wisdom. We can also place some of this at the feet of bad theologies. Bad theologies in Christianity and Islam and Judaism. You see, time is not just about passing moments. It also carries memories. It carries the memories of the world. Like fossils in rock formations, the memories of the earth are held in the annals of time. Madame Blavatsky and her group, the Theosophists, called this the Akashic Records. You can still tap into that. But this information, this knowledge has long since been forgotten. So instead, we are stranded on where? The shores of our rationality. With our clocks and time passing without fully understanding the world we inhabit. The Kairos time, which is what I'm stressing, contains the secrets of time. It's sacred time. Kairos time opens us up at the right time in the right place. This is why our joys and concerns ritual can be so powerful when it's used, time is used wisely and with intentionality. For everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the sun, the writer of Ecclesiastes tells us. Each moment has its purpose, its own infinite pattern. In each moment we are paying attention, if we're lucky, a synchronicity will occur. But for it to occur, love needs to be present. The time must be tended with care, for when time loses the magic of love, or this, or even a certain amount of attention, the ritual loses its meaning. The meaning is lost. And time becomes just the ticking of the clock because of this. Will they hurry up and say what they have to say? Why are they up there again this week? Can we get on with the service? Because the time with the meaning has been lost. As the speaker as well as myself, I too must be aware of the time that I'm using and what I'm saying. Like so much today, we treat time as an object rather than as a presence of love and respect. We may have to watch the clock, but we are rarely awake to the living presence of time. So today, time has lost its meaning, especially sacred time. It's just the passing of the hours. It's the unfolding of the days. It's just repetition. It's how much I can tell you in the period of time allotted. We talked about last week, knowledge being knowing what to say, and wisdom knowing when to say it. Autumn is here. As human beings, we are used to be aware of the mysteries of time, or at least we try to be. Initiations and rituals mark the time of transition, harvest time for our crops, for our souls to be taken seriously. Corn was planted and then it was invested with a ritual, with a prayer. Yes, Unitarian Universalists do pray. Some of us. This was a way of weaving together the seen and unseen worlds. This is the land that our ancestors walked with a wisdom and a knowing. Just ask our Aboriginal peoples, not just in America, but around the globe. We have to somehow reconnect those threads, the threads between us and our ancestors. It's easier to do while living closer to nature, for sure, but all of us don't. And so we have to do it in other ways. And words don't always have to be that way. They don't always have to be the way. There are people who drop stones here. When the service is over, you can always go up and ask them, hey, I saw you do something. Let's go talk about how bad Michael and the board did. It's okay. It's all right. We love each other. We do. Bill and I gave the namaste. It's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. But it'll make you come out of your shell. Hey, I saw you drop a stone, Michael. You want to talk about that? All is not lost. As I get older, time seems to be less pressing, and I can live with the slower rhythms of my life, more so in the summer, but I don't feel the need to accomplish everything like I used to, and I make more time for silence, a silence that speaks to me on a deeper level. And we often hear in today's world, a hectic, stress-inducing world, that the demands of time are answered by the spiritual teaching that you have to be here now. You're familiar with Brother Eckhart Tolle. And there is a simple truth to this awareness of moment-to-moment existence. You see it when children play, because they seem to get everything out of a moment. You know, they just milk it. And for adults, though, between clocks and calendars, most likely watching the sunset or sunrise brought the teaching home. Yet within each moment, there are also rhythms of time. We are all part of a spiral of life. Probably didn't know I could get this much out of the word time, but I didn't think so either. The galaxies move in a spiral, as does the sunflower. You and I live in the Orion arm of this galaxy. It's a minor spiral. Here in the Milky Way galaxy, this is our address. Our very lives are a spiral. And T.S. Eliot reminds us of this in his quote, "We shall never cease from exploration, but at the end," contradictory, "at the end of all our exploring, we will arrive at the place we started, and we will know it for the very first time." That statement says it all. We are taught that time is linear. Yet we only experience one-dimensional time, time passing. But remember that time is alive in many, 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 many ways. From moment to moment awareness to the rhythm and nature of our cosmos and galaxy. Time dances to many different tunes and many different ways. It's alive in our memories. When we meditate, when we are still and quiet, when we follow the breath present in the flow of time, we connect with that as the oxygen enters and leaves our bodies. Words can't beat that with a stick. And we can still keep community. I think I'm on the side of the angels here. I'm not saying I can't be wrong. Remember, Michael is an angel, not a saint. We can notice and become more aware of the rhythms of the beating heart. We sense the rhythm of the moon, the tides, the seasons, just as our ancestors did. They sensed the unity in this multiplicity. We can feel this. We can experience it if we just slow down, if we just can get still. As we grow older, we grow closer to the intersection of time and timelessness. When we were younger, play was joy. It was endless joy. But now time calls me, maybe you, in different ways. So we have the joint and back pains, the shortness of breath. There are more spaces in my days when nothing happens, when simple things are more important than having big plans. Time speaks to us differently with memories that have gone by, but the journey continues. The journey continues. Our culture seeks to celebrate a never-ending eternal youth. And now with artificial intelligence, who knows what shenanigans we may create. But if we listen closely, if we look perceptively, the universe makes sure that we remember that nothing is ever wasted. That's the lesson that the universe wastes nothing, that the words of the extraterrestrial visitor Klaatu in the remake of the Day the Earth Stood Still, right? That's what he said. The universe, it wastes nothing. That's the message. That's a Bible in itself. Nothing is wasted here. Things change. That's all. It's change. The rhythms of time, the rhythms of the season, the first frost on the ground, first blooming of a flower in springtime helps us remember. But it also does something else. It speaks to our soul. Not a scientific word, I grant you, but you get it. It speaks to our soul. It brings to us the knowledge that life goes on, it has changed, it's ever unfolding and evolving. The farmers and the monks, without clocks, knew this. Maybe they'd explain it a different way, maybe they wouldn't. What we have in common with the farmer and the monk and all those who came before is a sense of something beyond our senses. beyond words, beyond thinking, something that reaches out even into the cosmos with all the life that's out there. This knowledge can nourish us. It can assist us in finding our way. And then time can once again be sacred to us without all the trappings. And it will speak to us. There's a concept. We don't have to speak. It will speak to us. It's not so much that many are called and few are chosen. It's many are called, but only few choose to listen. And all we really need to do is simply watch and listen. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be. Our closing hymn. Our closing hymn this morning is number 144. Please rise as you are willing and able and join us in this lovely hymn. Would you show Linda some love?
Yeah.
Bill Altork some love for the courage of his conviction. It will work out. It will. We have been blessed this morning by who we are and the hope and promise inherent in the community that we build here, right? We don't have to think alike to love alike. Remember that hope and promise. Remember that you are a unique and needed part of it. Don't forget that. Live its beauty, tell its story, go in peace. Amen.
Okay.